Welcome back to Win It Real Estate. I'm Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh. And if you like this show, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and pay attention to what's going on out there in the political world because I'm going to try very hard to take over the 2nd Congressional District in Connecticut with your vote and your help. And the Affordable Health Care Act is one of the reasons why I would like to serve our country in Washington, D.C. I'd like to take a look right now at what is going to happen because of the Affordable Health Care Act in terms of taxes. On January 1st, 2014, the top income tax bracket went from 35% to 39.6%. The top income payroll tax went from 37.4% to 52.2%. The capital gains tax went from 15% to 28%. The dividends tax went from 15% to 39.6%. The estate tax went from 0 to 55%. The Democrats in this country, including Joe Courtney, have taken so much of our wealth. Now, I'm not a top tax bracket person, but we're feeling it. The middle class is shrinking in this country, shrinking into poverty. Because all of those wealthy people are the ones who spend the money at the businesses that the middle class create. The middle class business person, the small business person who has absolutely no voice in Washington, D.C. because our lawmakers, like Joe Courtney from the 2nd Congressional District, they placate the big business. They don't care about the ramifications of all of this taxation and these regulations that are destroying mom and pops, destroying the middle class. It doesn't matter to them because they are going after something that is far more important, and that is the support of big businesses and big unions. And the middle class, the small business person, is completely left out of that mix. We don't matter. I've been a small business person since I was 25 years old. Started my very first company when I was 25 years old, an advertising and public relations firm that grew to be one of the top 10 in New England. Hopkins Advertising and Public Relations Incorporated. I started it in the dining room of my very first house that I bought with money I saved after I graduated from the University of Connecticut. And I paid my way through the University of Connecticut, working nights and weekends. That's almost impossible to do today. Opportunity like that, to be whatever you choose to be, to pay your way through college, is very difficult in our society today. Buying a first house. I didn't have a special government loan to do that. I had to save my money. There is no reason to save money today because there's no interest rate being paid at the bank. Our economy is not geared towards helping people climb out of poverty, create businesses, and become successful. That is why the economy is not growing. Regulation and taxation. It's very, very simple. When you take a look at what has happened to our healthcare industry, the loss of jobs, the loss of choice, the loss of patient-doctor privacy, the increase in taxes, there's nothing positive about this law. Our healthcare in this country may not have been perfect, but it was perfect for a lot of people. And for the people who did not have health care, for the people who would lose their homes or their businesses if they were not covered properly with health care. Changes could have been made without the government taking over our health care system. There was no reason for it. The only reason is control. The government wants to control every decision made in our lives and take the money from our pockets. Our pockets are empty. There is no reason why we should be paying the money we're paying at the pump. This money isn't going towards big corporate oil. This money is taxed and taxed. Layers and layers and layers of taxes. Connecticut, the gasoline tax in the state of Connecticut, the revenues coming from our pockets to go to Hartford, to go to Washington, D.C., we're at the breaking point. So when you take a look at Obamacare, the liberal progressives would say, oh, we have to take care of all these people. That wasn't the case. We have to take care of people, but not with the Affordable Health Care Act that is going to destroy the quality of health care and the affordability of health care in our country. We have to take care of people, but not lose the innovation and the wonderful technology investment in health care that we once had in this country, because that spending has stopped. Innovation will stop. Quality has already declined. Safety has already declined. Yet the news media will not look at any of these facts. These are facts. And now the progressive liberals in our country want to make gun rights part of the health care law. Well, if you look at the health care law, there are a lot of very interesting aspects of this law that no one is talking about. This law is subsidizing nonprofit organizations that are going to intrude in the privacy of your own home. That's a fact, and no one's talking about it. Nonprofit organizations that are being developed right now and are supported with your taxpayer dollars that are going to determine whether or not you're living a healthy life. And if you have a gun in your home, that's part of the Health Care Act. They're trying to make that a health care issue. This is an intrusion on our privacy that only a progressive liberal would want. I'd like you to look up the Congressional Progressive Caucus and find out more about this organization, because it's really a group of Democratic Socialists of America. Unfortunately, these socialists are giving us this progressive country that is going to mimic Europe in its failures, economic failures, and control our lives in a way that is completely un-American. The Congressional Progressive Caucus. Watch out for it. They are intent on combating disparity. So if you want to know where disparate impact comes from, ask Nancy Pelosi. She's one of the members. This is the largest membership organization within the Democratic Party, and it's growing. Rosa DeLauro from Connecticut is a member. These are the social engineers of our country. And you can see that throughout all of the policies and laws emanating from the Obama administration. And Joe Courtney from the 2nd Congressional District votes 93% of the time with the policies of the Progressive Caucus. So now we see some of these progressive policies and laws collapsing. And I think the resignation of Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius is indicative of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, the socialist, progressive, liberal agenda in this country. Secretary Sebelius oversaw a disastrous rollout of Obamacare. I can't imagine it being any worse. But the rollout was the tip of the iceberg. Americans face rising costs, families losing their doctors, and an economy weighed down by intrusive regulations and burdens, tax burdens. If you like this show, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. I'm Lori Hopkins-Cavanagh. We have to take a short break. Don't go away.